Good day to you peeps. Not Mossback here. Okay, so I might not be a YouTuber who spaced their entire channel around the topic of Hollow Knight, but I have still considered myself a bit of a contributor this last year or so when it comes to talking and theorizing about the upcoming sequel to Hollow Knight, Silksong. From the very announcement, to a trailer analysis, smaller updates from Team Cherry, and even an entire video about how Hornet potentially being able to talk could be a big game changer. Oh wow, you really like that one, huh? But following this recent E3, then even though many of us Hollow Knight YouTubers didn't get to go to the event and play the Silksong demo for ourselves, then IGN did provide a 16-minute gameplay video of someone else doing it, giving off a surprising amount of information about the game, the story structure, and even Hornet herself in such a short span of time. And since analyzing can be a bit of a tedious task, then I've done you guys a favor, and I've skimmed the video through about once or twice, and I'm ready to share my new ideas, theories, and opinions in this shorter video. Although I am very sure and very confident that both Mossback and Rusty and other Hollow Knight YouTubers will absolutely annihilate me in anything I point out with each of their 4-part 30-minute analysis of this gameplay video. So it should probably be said that I won't go into any specific details. I won't be mentioning how Hornet, for example, can hang onto ledges. I won't be going into extremely gameplay specifics. If you want to see like an extremely in-depth analysis that could take multiple hours to get through, then I absolutely recommend those YouTubers. This is mostly just a shorter video where I can go through some of the ideas and some of the opinions that I got from this video after watching it a few times over. That being said, then I do know you're all quite patient when it comes to this sort of stuff, so if you don't mind, then I'll take the time to create a disposition of the different topics I will and will not cover before we get to the main point of the video. Hornet is not a vessel. That is one way to make a segue. There has been theories and there's been hints that Hornet might and might not be a vessel like the knight from the original game, but now it seems almost certain that Hornet is not a vessel. She doesn't leave any sort of void entity behind when she dies, which has both a major impact on gameplay and potentially also on lore and the overall theme of the game. But, seeing as it is a game, then let's get into the actual gameplay aspects first and how it affects that. Because Hornet doesn't just not leave an entity behind, but Team Cherry also seems to want to move away from the more Dark Souls-like death penalty, meaning that she doesn't lose all her gold on death like the knight with the opportunity to get it all back, but instead just seems to respawn without any real penalty, that is unless the player used an item that Hornet will spend a little bit of currency restocking each time she dies. And now I might be wrong, or this might be completely opinionated, because this gameplay also shows that there's a second type of currency which might play into how dying is penalized to the player, but I personally quite liked the high-risk gameplay of carrying around all your gold and potentially losing it while exploring. It wasn't a very useful mechanic for penalizing losing boss battles, since you could just, get it back immediately as you stepped into the arena. Oh no! But it did make the whole idea of adventuring a constant back and forth thought process when you're considering whether or not if you should keep going and reap the benefits or turn back and spend what gold you have. But let me know in the comments what your opinion on this is. I will kind of leave off that there. Although Hornet's lack of a death shadow might also have an impact on story and lore, since this means that we've yet to see any sort of evidence of the void even existing in Farloom, indicating that it might not play a role in the game at all. This in itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. It does mean that unless Silksong pulls a Bloodborne and hides all its true themes until the last half of the game, then it does, however, not spell very well for those hoping to see more of the mysterious void entity in this sequel. But what we are going to see is a little bit more story, we're going to see a little bit more plot, and a little bit more of a Hornet get good memes. Oh, why, you're asking? Oh well, just because. Hornet talks! Oh, thank you very much. Oh, no, thank you, man. Really, it's a special day for me. No, it's fine, thank you. Okay, stop. Sorry about that, but this is actually a topic that I've already touched on in a prior Hollow Knight Silksong video. And also the most watched video on my channel, but we're gonna glaze over that fact. But to quickly summarize, then I pointed out that Team Cherry had to make some pretty big changes to the story and interaction structure, simply due to the fact that Hornet is a character that can talk. Yes, that's it. But if you really think about it, it's not easy to deal with. Making her quiet would leave a personality plot hole, and making her talk would make the original story structure too complicated, and not making her talk would kill the idea of the character. In short, it's a simple sounding problem with no real simple way of fixing it. And I concluded the video saying that Team Cherry would probably have to pick one of those 3 different paths to go down when it came to story and when it came to how Hornet actually interacted with the world. And my first option would be that they would turn Hornet into a quiet protagonist to fit the original Hollow Knight template, which would leave a plot hole, but still it would fit the template. Or second, they could let Hornet talk, but then they could force her to remain quiet most of the time due to some exterior force. This could be done by giving her no one else to talk to, or perhaps even a language barrier, or just some other reason to stay silent. I call this one the compromise, because while it does fix the problem, then it doesn't really make anyone happy either, so that was the middle way option. And then the third option would be that they would mold the game's template to revolve around Hornet's personality. The one that I hoped for, and the one that I actually think that they decided to go with. Now this is good news, this is fantastic news. They could have easily played it safe. Team Cherry could have easily just made her silent and went with the game template that gave them an international best-selling success that is a diamond in the indie community. But they changed it. They let Hornet be Hornet, and they let her rant and talk to whoever she goddamn pleases. They even renamed the interact button into a speak button. And it's fantastic! After putting up my first video on the topic and sort of getting mixed responses from it, then I thought I was one of the only people who just really wanted this. But going on Reddit and seeing people's really positive reaction to Hornet actually having two-way conversations with NPCs was so nice. And it's something I really want to work well throughout the whole game. But this is where I should probably mention that this also comes with a bunch of consequences and perhaps complications that I, in my original video, feared would steer Team Cherry away from this decision. Because now that Hornet has been allowed to truly flourish her personality, then she also becomes very needy, because now she needs a story. And by that I mean like a more direct story. I mean, of course Silksong will still be dripping with lore, but the focus of the game will never be, at least in the same way, allowed to be as grandiose, vague and indirect as in the original game, now that we have an actively engaging main protagonist that has some sort of direct plot going on, whether that being in gathering help climbing to the top of the kingdom, or being potentially assassinated by Lace, who is even sassier than Hornet. The point is just that Team Cherry picked the more bumpy road, but in turn basically gave me, at least, everything that I could have wanted out of this game, and more. They were not just a little experimental, but they decided to not let themselves in any way be bound by their prior success of the Hollow Knight template, and explored in a completely different direction. The knight of the original game was delving, Hornet is now climbing, Hollow Nest is dead and hollow, and Farloom is buzzing and brimming with life and characters. The first protagonist didn't whisper a single word, the second one is allowed to ramble with passion to anyone she wants. The night is blue and cold, and Hornet is red and... Gonna step away from that one. But before we get too excited, then we should remember that so far we've only seen about 16 minutes of gameplay, aka not nearly enough time to analyze the whole context and effectivity of a story, so we still gotta keep our excitement under control and keep praying for at least a little while longer. Because while I'm happy they were up for the challenge, then I meant it in the original video when I said that it would be easier to stick with their original formula. There's plenty of aspects that could mess up and there's plenty of things that could go wrong, but I also got a lot of comments last time asking why do I doubt Team Cherry so much, and to that I just want to be the first person to say that I don't. I may have given off the impression that I doubt them, but that's simply because they've achieved so much with so little that a part of me would say that something would eventually go wrong, something would have to go wrong. But even in that video I also said that Team Cherry is something unique when it comes to indie game developers. They won't get tied up with something like money, and they won't follow a template just in order to gain more success. I mean, let's be honest, if they were like that, then Hollow Knight would not be sitting on the Steam market for like 15 bucks right now. They are, however, tied up to a vision that they really want to make work. And I gotta be honest, I don't think Team Cherry would even present this if they weren't confident that their vision came through. So as I'm finishing up this video and as I'm coming towards an end, then I just want to say, but being critical like this and presenting the different ideas and potential problems I see, then it's not because I'm wondering if they're making Silksong fantastic. I'm asking exactly how fantastic they're gonna be making Silksong.